My guest today is someone who is not afraid in her world to push the boundaries and equip those around her to achieve their own potential. Sarah New is a successful entrepreneur and a marketing executive. She's also the founder of the Dream Collective. Tell us more about this, of course, Sarah. What is the Dream Collective? It sounds very exciting.
Yes, it certainly is. So the Dream Collective is a global leadership platform. We are a diversity and inclusion consultancy that operate across 5 cities in the world. Our main mission is to help businesses attract, retain, and advance women in leadership. So this is actually a business that I personally started about 6-7 years ago now, and it started as a passion project. On the side, I started from the back of my living room with $3,000, and over the years we've actually managed to turn it into a global business, operating across Sydney, Melbourne, Tokyo, Singapore, and Shanghai.
You described that situation of empowering women into this. There must have been a market for this business, so there was a problem, really, was it, for people to find inclusion in the workplace?
Oh, 100%. And I think, inclusion has always been, it was a challenge back then, it is challenged now, and I personally experienced that myself. So coming from a corporate background, I was never one that thought, I'll start a business, in my life, but I really sort of was personally confronted by the lack of development opportunities for women in leadership myself when I was working in the corporate world. And that's when I thought, I'll take it upon myself and create something. And then that's how I created the Dream Collective.
So as a Christian, something of that was being pulled, as it were, into this because you thought it was something that you ought to do in your calling with God.
Yes, I think, God's calling for me has always been very clear ever since I was young. The calling was for me to be in a position of influence, to create impact and bring impact to those around me, to be a source of influence in the spheres that I operate in. And I didn't know exactly what that looks like, and I think it could still evolve, but right now I feel where I'm called to do is to really bring influence and bring impact to the business world that I operate in.
So even when people come to you, do you still sense that they've got this heavy load on their back because it's the perceptions that society have for the role of women? Is it there even when they talk to you?
Oh, yes, yeah. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously.
Yes.
So basically what we do is we work with businesses. So, we partner with the likes of Google, PayPal, Lego, Adidas across the APAC region to help advance their employees and their female talent into leadership positions. And those women are often very ambitious, high potential, high caliber, but, through the program, you will still see a lot of times there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs that holds themselves back.
And even in the Christian church, one has to say, that's also been very man-dominated.
Yes.
And
although it still is.
In the world of Wesley Mission's community services, less so. But when we talk about church, it becomes a challenge, doesn't it?
It is, yeah. But I think, it's not an isolated incident for the church per se. It is still very much the world. If we look at the numbers, let the stats, do the talking, women still occupies only 15% of leadership positions around the world and holds only about 28% of the global wealth. So I think, church, it's a, reflection of, everything else that's happening. But I think, God's plan for women are, just as, important and vital, if not more.
And it's what it's what people start to get used to. I know a little boy in Britain put his hand up in class when Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister and said the question he wanted to ask is, can a man be Prime Minister? And after she'd been 10 years leading. So once this begins to become normative, that women can take on roles of significance and worth, then it becomes more acceptable when we start talking in that way and see good role models. Is role models part of the challenge?
Absolutely. So, what we see is, there's a person, particularly a woman's career, can be categorized into 3 phases. So we call it the launch pad when they start, and then the mid-career marathon, and then the executive transition. We see a lot of drop-off of women from the workforce during that mid-career marathon stage. People normally intuitively attribute that as a result of women entering motherhood, but that's actually a huge bias. That's not the reality. Research shows that women drop out of the workforce for 3 reasons. One is the lack of role models, to your point. The second thing is the fact that they receive little to none support from their direct managers. So whilst the company CEO might have a great ethos about supporting women, that reality is not felt on a day-to-day basis. And the third part is very much the culture, the corporate culture that we operate in.
Look, we're excited about what you're doing. We want to encourage you. As a Christian in this space, it's very important they do this. God bless you and what you're trying to do. And let's see more and more people, not only through your organisation, but through many ways, coming into places of leadership and a blessing. Thanks ever so much for telling us your story and sharing with us in this way, Sarah.
Thank you.